Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. I was almost kidnapped when I was 10 by Anonymous. Hey, I've never actually posted this story anywhere, and I haven't told it to many folks. This really rattled me as a kid. I was about 10 when this happened. I'm 27 now, but I still have nightmares about this. When I was little, every few years my family would go back to my mom's hometown, and we camped there for a week or so during the summer when I was on summer break. And this place, Edgewood, is a pretty small town. It has a population of 200 to 250 people, give or take. Last I checked anyway. And was in a very rural part of the province, surrounded by forests and rather out of the way, with a close-knit community of people who all know each other. My mom, stepdad, and my 3-year-old sister stayed at our family friend's house to visit, but as soon as I sat down, my mom told me to take the dog for a walk and gave me a $5 bill to take with me to the convenience store along the way so that I could get an ice cream or a drink, which I was thrilled with, so off I went. The walk to the store was pretty uneventful. The town is incredibly small and practically everything was within walking distance. The convenience store was about a 5-minute walk away, so I didn't have a hard time finding my way there. Once I bought my Pepsi, I went ahead and sat outside in front of the store in the shade, taking a moment to sip my drink before heading back to the house. That's when a blue car pulled up. I wasn't in the area often, so I didn't recognize anybody I met beyond a few family friends my mom would take us to visit every time we were in town. The person in the car rolled down their window and looked over at me, offering me a smile and a wave. She looked rather unkempt and appeared to be in what I could only assume was her mid-50s. She was dirty, her hair was messy, and her car was covered in rusty spots, with cracked and damaged windows. I glanced up, offered a polite smile, and went back to my drink. It wasn't uncommon for people to be friendly in that community, so I didn't think anything of it for the most part. She called out to me, "Hey there, what's your name?" I looked up again, a bit hesitant to say anything. I was a bit shy around new folks. Kayla?" I answered, not saying much else. I did get taught about stranger danger, but given that this town was a very small, tight-knit community, it didn't cross my mind at the time. I assumed I was safe. "Well, Kayla, I got this makeup here, and you can have it if you want. I think you'd look beautiful with this makeup. Do you want to come here and try it on? I can help you put it on." That was what made the first siren go off in my head. I shook my head, telling her, "No, that's okay. I don't wear makeup." I was literally 10 and was pretty tomboyish. I never had any interest in makeup, and from a stranger, even less so. I was getting uncomfortable and getting up to leave, as she was insisting on getting me to at least give it a try. I kept saying no and proceeding to start walking away, when she offered something else. "Well, what about a muffin? I got these muffins that are too good to keep to myself. I got a bunch in the back if you want to come and take one." That was Siren 2. I knew 2 things about walking around by myself anywhere. 1, don't ever take food/candy from strangers. 2, don't ever get into a van, a car, or a truck. Any vehicle with someone I don't know. I said no again and explained that my family was waiting for me. She looked annoyed at this point and insisted again.
Well, I can drive you back, but you need to get in the car.
She was snapping at this point, and I was reasonably rattled. I didn't say anything else and instead hurried off with my dog, hastily enough to where I forgot to even take my Pepsi with me. I don't know why, but something in my head told me not to lead this woman to the house my family was at. So instead, I walked off to the campsite, which was about another 5 minutes away. I figured she wouldn't have any reason to follow me to a campsite that likely had other people there, in case she wanted to try anything. But of course, here's where I was wrong. The campsite was practically empty that day, and it's not really monitored by anybody, so this was probably the dumbest idea I could have had. I walked along the path that led to the road full of campsite lots, and sure enough, one glance behind me sent chills down my spine and my stomach sank. The woman was following me in her car. She was a good 10 to 15 meters away, and she was keeping pace with me, like she was waiting for me to stop. I panicked, picked up my dog, and walked a bit faster down the road to see if I could get anybody's attention and ask for help. In my panic, I found one man who was setting up his campsite, and I ran to him as fast as I could. I desperately tried to explain what was happening. I was on the verge of tears, explaining that someone who tried to get me into their car was following me. He hummed and eventually said, "Sorry, I've got my dog with me. I can't leave her here for long. I hope you find your way back," and left me on my own. Tears streaming down my face as I begged him one more time, but it didn't change his answer. I looked behind me and noticed that the blue car was gone. I thought that maybe she gave up or didn't want to be seen, but either way, I took this opportunity to sprint away again, desperately looking for somewhere that would let me sneak back to the house off the main campsite road. Off the side of the road, there were a very thick array of bushes. I picked up my dog once again and ran off into the bushes until I was far away enough and hidden enough from the road. I held my dog tight and patiently waited to see if the car would drive by, watching through the bushes. A few minutes passed, and sure enough, there she was, driving by again slowly, almost like she was looking for something. Once she drove off, I wanted to make a break for it, but something told me to stay right where I was. Another few minutes passed by, and the car was back. She had looped around, driving agonizingly slowly. Now, that wasn't the first time she looped around. She did this more times than I can even recall. I stopped counting at some point. At the final loop, I saw her park her car down the road a good 40-ish meters behind where I was hiding. As she got out and started walking down the road, and again, like she was looking for something. I was practically petrified. I lay there for God knows how long, waiting as she walked down the road. Eventually, I heard her mumble something and swear at the end of the sentence before she walked back up to her car. She hit the hood of her car before getting back in and speeding off. I waited another half hour, give or take, before I finally plucked up the courage to grab my dog and run as fast as I could back to the house. By the time I had gotten there, my legs were shaking and I could barely stand. My lungs were on fire and I was on the verge of tears again. My mom came out and scolded me for taking so long, asking me why I was gone for as long as I was. I broke out in tears, explained to her what exactly happened and how I was followed and looked for at least an hour. She shrugged and explained that nobody here would do anything like that, and went back inside. Our family friend James pulled me aside and asked me to describe the woman in the car. He said, "We know a lot of people here in town. I might know who you're talking about." I told him everything I saw, and he hummed, glancing up while he pondered what he could recall about people he knew in town. "Yeah, I don't know anyone with a car like that here in town. I'll ask around and see if anyone else knows who you're talking about." The rest of the evening was pretty uneventful, but I stayed inside and refused to leave the house. James eventually pulled my mom aside to talk to her again, but I didn't hear their conversation. The rest of the trip was pretty uneventful, but for the remainder of the time in town, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere without my mom or stepdad, and any time I had to take the dog for a walk, one of them always came with me. I don't think I was ever alone again during that trip, excluding when I needed to use the washroom. Whatever James told my mom, I want to say that is what got her to take me seriously. I don't think anyone knows who that woman was, but honestly, I'd rather not find out. They sent only the tone deaf across the black ocean, certain the siren's song could not touch them. When the only survivor returned, clawing at his ears and whispering what the voices had calmly told him about the Aldrich things waiting in the depths, they realized too late the sirens never need to sing to make sailors jump overboard. Bad decision to go to a hotel room with a man I met once, by Midnight Lace. I do want to give a trigger warning before this story starts. There is grape in this, and they do go into detail. I absolutely hate that I can't use the real word. If this is something you're not able to or not willing to listen to, I have timestamps for you guys so you can skip to the next story. So, to start off, I'm 19 female. This incident happened to me yesterday, and I'm willing to own up that it was poor judgment on my side. I decided to join a gym like half a month ago. Of course, I was given a trainer, 23 male, and trained with him on the first day, but then I started coming in on the evenings, which was out of his work time schedule, since it was a lot more convenient for me due to my classes being in the morning. A couple of weeks later, he texted me on Instagram and asked to meet up for drinks that weekend. I agreed and suggested we go to a pub since I was never one to turn down an offer for free drinks. Although, at that, his replies went vague until some back and forth, and he said, "We'll book a room so we can drink and smoke a blunt without having to worry about the substance safety laws outside." That should have been my first red flag, but I thought he genuinely had a point and that it was just for drinks and stuff. I was wrong. The weekend arrived. It was Sunday yesterday. He picked me up and the drive was normal, except he kept touching my leg. I didn't mind. Fast forward, we reached the hotel, went upstairs to the room, and I was trying to get a bottle of whiskey open when he took it from my hand, set it aside, and started stripping me. I tried to tell him no, politely, and said I assumed this was just a casual drinks and catching up, but of course he wouldn't listen. The struggle against him to even get up was in vain. Like I said, he was my gym trainer and a lot bigger than me. Held my limbs down and tore through my Heidemann thrusting till I bled. He wouldn't stop at just doing it once though. Every time I thought it was over, it wasn't. Did it 3 times if I remember correctly. He kept trying to push it into my mouth, saying he needed a blowjob, but I turned my head after the first few seconds of him doing it. And he probably didn't try it again because he thought I'd bite down, which wouldn't have been unlikely if forced. Then after he lets go, but keeps the door locked, hand me a glass of whiskey and Coke. I know I shouldn't have, but I drank it anyways. Partly trying to cope with what just happened, partly because I didn't want to cry and seem more vulnerable than I already was. He refilled it 3 times as well, probably. I was a bit tipsy. He dropped me off like a mile away from my house, which he doesn't know the address of, thankfully. I smoked a cig on the way home, stopped on the way to get mints from the small store, and the owner, an old man I've known since I was a kid, asked if I was coming home from somewhere, and I replied with a yes. That's the last interaction I remember from that night. I got home, went straight to my room, and slept it off, but not for long. Woke up at around 1 a.m. and stayed up just before daylight again. Everything about what happened just messed with my mind a lot. I mean, was it or was it not consensual, since I did agree to the plan? Just that I thought it was solely for not getting in trouble with drinks outside. I feel numb. I don't even know how to get past this. Hence, I'm sharing it here. Thanks for this safe space. Normally, as you guys know, I leave my commentary to the very end, but stories like these, I feel like I need to give mine at the end of it. First of all, I wanted to say that the writer of this story did actually submit it to me, so that they gave me full permission to narrate it. I feel like that's also important to tell you guys. Just because you agreed to get into a car or go into a hotel room with someone does not mean you agree to this. This is not what consent looks like at all. If it is not enthusiastic, it is not consent. That is grape, and that's what this is. If anything like this ever happens to any of you, please go straight to a hospital and get a kit done, and then report this to the cops. For the person who gave me this story, please go see a therapist so you have a safe place to talk and hopefully work through these feelings. Most likely that will be the best way to work through everything that happened. I just want you to know you're not at fault. This man is awful and took advantage of a situation. I wish you all the luck and love, and please take care of yourself. Despite the sailors' desperate attempt to fight it off, the Karken crushed them one by one, leaving the cargo untouched as it carried the ship back to port. It had never attacked a vessel before, but it would not allow a ship full of slaves to sail free. Was I almost kidnapped by a guy with a homemade wooden cage built on the back of his pickup truck? By Mas Konoba K. Benita. In the summer of 2021, my boyfriend and I were staying on a Tupela Indian Reserve. The house we were renting had terrible phone service. To get a signal, we had to walk or drive to the main road. It was about a mile walk down the hill, no streetlights. Our relationship was very toxic. We fought all the time, and when we did, he would take off and leave me at the house, no car, and not cell service. This was one of those times. My boyfriend had been sitting in his truck listening to music. When I looked out the window, his truck was gone. I walked down to the main road. That was usually where I would find him, just parked there, where he had phone service, probably texting other girls. He was not there, so I started walking towards the gas station, and I'm trying to call him. The gas station is another mile away. It was very dark. I think it was like midnight or 1 a.m. As I'm walking, an old blue pickup drives by and comes to a stop about the equivalent of a block away. He doesn't say anything. I can't even see him. The driver opens their door. A car comes towards us. He closes his door and drives off. I shrug it off. About 5 minutes later, the truck comes back, this time driving towards me on my side of the road. He's driving very slowly. The windows are so darkly tinted I cannot see the driver. I noticed what I had thought it was a canopy is actually made out of wood. Another car passes and he takes off fast again. I turn around and start back to the house. Here comes the truck again. The wood thing looks like a cage or a big wood box with a door. He again stops about a block away and pulls over and opens his door. And again, when a car comes, he takes off. My boyfriend is not answering my calls. I'm just getting back to the private road that heads up to the house. Here comes that damn truck again. I pass the road and keep walking. I don't want whoever this is to know that's the road I live on. I don't want to lose phone service. And once I start up the road, there will be no traffic to scare him off. This time, I start taking pictures of him. I wish I still had that phone that I took those pictures on. I text the pictures to my boyfriend and my best friend, saying if something happens to me to look for this truck. The truck takes off again. I thought maybe I was safe and he got scared because I took his picture. I called my best friend, asked him to stay on the phone with me. I had started walking back towards my road. I figured I was safe. The truck had not come back. Right when I started up my road, the truck comes back again. I start running faster than I've ever run in my life. I run up this hill and into the woods. You guys, I see headlights go by. The truck continues straight up to where all the houses are. I keep running up towards the house, but stay close to the tree line. It is dark enough that I can see the headlights from pretty far away. I can hear the truck coming back before I see him. By the time I'm around the corner, and not too far from where the houses are, I duck down behind a tree and bush. The truck goes back down the hill very slowly. Once it feels safe, I start making my way back to the house. This truck comes back. I'm ducking behind people's fences and broken down cars in the yards. This guy is just relentless. I made it safely back to the house. I could hear every time the truck came by, and he was circling. He would drive by about every 25 minutes, very slowly, for about 3 hours at least. By then, my best friend had driven an hour to get there. My boyfriend finally checked his text messages 5 hours later and came home acting all worried. For those who are wondering why I did not call 911, the U.S. Marshals had a warrant out for me at the time. Calling the police was not an option. Whoever that dude is with a wooden cage built on his truck, let's not meet. When everyone was running from the supposed fire, I didn't understand why they were all avoiding the clear, wet area outside. I dashed so fast that I didn't even feel the heat burning my legs until I was right in the middle of the puddle. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, whether true or fictional, you can send it my way 3 different ways. All the links, including the ones to my socials, are down below for you guys. Of course, I'd like to thank all the writers who let me read their stories this evening. For the first story, I'm absolutely happy that they trusted their gut and didn't get into that woman's car. From going from makeup to a muffin and then following you to the woods. I get that the man had his dog to look after, but I feel kinda upset that he didn't help the poor girl. but we also don't fully know what was going on with his life either. I'm just happy that you got away safe and sound and was smart enough to know not to lead them back to the house you were staying at. For someone so young, I have deep respect that you had just so much forethought in everything you did. I've already given you guys my thoughts on the second story, so I won't touch that one here. And that last story with a guy with a truck with possibly a wooden cage on the back, very bizarre. And the fact that they took off whenever a vehicle even started pulling up definitely screams they wanted to take you without anyone seeing you. And to be an area where phone service is known to not be working very well, this wasn't their first rodeo. I'm just happy you didn't join said rodeo. I'm just happy you all got away safe. Please remember to trust your gut, act weird, do whatever you need to get out of a situation. We always seem to forget that our brains take in a lot more information than we realize, so sometimes our gut feeling is something we can't put a finger on. Just trust it. If you act weird or odd and nothing was wrong, no big deal. But if you didn't act on it and something was wrong, well, that's when you have problems. I hope you all stay safe. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. I greatly appreciate it. Be willing to hype this video. Help smaller channels like mine get to new people who might enjoy them. And of course, please leave a comment. Tell me what you thought, what kind of stories you like in the future. And if you got this far, put, "That bush looks great to hide in," so I know you got this far. I always try to make those phrases something kind of interesting and funny, so I hope you enjoy them. If you're listening on the podcast and are able to, please leave a review and a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. If you're willing to help this channel and podcast grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a bit. If you're willing to help in a more financial way, like these lovely people on screen right now, I do have Patreon and memberships where you get early access and a few other bonuses. But if you only want to do a one-time thing, more like a tip, I do have PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and Super Thanks. All the links are down below for you guys. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It always has and always will mean the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.